Morning all, it is 5 to 6. It's that early. I'm having to speak quite quietly because everyone in my house is still asleep. It is actually the summer holidays here. I'm about to jump into the car, drive through Glencoe and then climb to the top of Ben Nevis, Scotland and the UK's highest mountain. Then climb back down, hopefully, and drive home. Welcome to Scotland Unplugged. I'm Robert Parker and this is Ben Nevis. It's a road trip I've done a few times with a bunch of guys I used to work with. It's sort of an ever-revolving cast. You get up early, drive through the heart of a country through rolling hills that turn into the Highlands. The highlight's probably the stark nothingness of Rannoch Moor, followed by the sheer vastness of Glencoe. It's a big view, almost imposing. We arrived at the visitor centre and the car park was overflowing. That might have been a sign of things to come. The thing to say about climbing Nevis is that there is a well-maintained path all the way to the top, but that doesn't mean it's easy. You realise that soon after you start climbing. The view changes pretty quickly as you move upwards and along the side of Glen Nevis. If you squint, you can just about see the Corpac wreck where I was a few weeks ago. The track was built to service an observatory that was permanently manned between 1883 and 1904. The fact it was there was at least partly down to Clement Linlay Wragg, a meteorologist who climbed to the top almost every day for 6 months just to take weather measurements. His wife took the same measurements at the bottom at the same time. So these are the zigzags. Although these aren't the zigzags, these are Colin and Rory. You get my point. Clement's round trip was about 11 hours, but these days you can reasonably expect to do it in half that. Although the record is actually up and down 7 times in 21 hours and 49 minutes, set last month. We're just coming up to the halfway lock, I think. I'm so tired, I can't even access my memory bank. As I climbed past the halfway lock and into the zigzags, I probably underestimated what was left. They don't really seem to end, and I was having a bit of trouble talking. I'm not sure if it actually, I can't even speak. I'm not sure if it actually is a halfway lock, or halfway rather. That might be just something I need to keep telling myself. That is pretty hard going. Colin, how you feeling?
I'm struggling, but we're getting there.
Down but not out. Worth it for the view though, and we picked the right day, but my god, climbing Nevis is tough. You forget how tough every time. Then there are the false summits. But after necking a can of espresso and a porridge bar, eventually I made a bad joke about meeting everyone in the coffee shop at the top, but it turns out if I'd been there 110 years ago, I probably would have. After the observatory was opened, and even after it closed, there was a hotel on the top, known as the Temperance Hotel. It was run by 2 sisters until it closed in 1916. You can't help feeling like some things have gone backwards. The observatory itself closed down in 1904 after the government pulled the funding. But the data compiled there in 21 years remains the most complete set ever recorded in Scottish mountains. Unmanned weather stations don't fare quite as well as people do in houses. It was clear just how busy it was. People were queuing just to get their picture taken on the trig point or stand on the survival shelter, which is only really supposed to be used as a survival shelter. I had to wander around and find the hotel. The view was as clear as I've ever seen it, apart from the north face, which was pretty cloudy, but looked pretty stark with the edge that just went straight down. Probably the best bit though is behind me here. This is Gardaloo Gully. As well as being brilliantly named, it's a bit of a reality check. You're looking down over sheer, jagged cliffs into cloud that looks like a grim invitation. In 2019, some highliners actually strung a wire across the gap and walked across. They didn't have safety harnesses though. They weren't completely nuts. Pretty tired. I've got stomach cramps, a bad cough, blistered feet, and worth that. By this time I was starting to get cold, so I headed back down. The views are obviously incredible. The next highest point is in the Scandinavian mountains in Norway. On the way back down, you look out over the tracks you've just come up and beyond into Ben Nevis. I overheard a guide tell his group that 70% of accidents happen on the way back down a mountain. I mean, 90% of statistics are probably made up on the spot, but I can believe it. Your legs are confused, you're tired, you let your guard down, and when it's busy, people tend to bunch up. One slip and it's like a line of dominoes. The halfway lock is always a welcome sight, but it doesn't come close to the Nevis Inn. It's the traditional stop-off point for us, and it always surprises me that we can actually get a table in there. Pretty knackered. Will I be doing it next year? 5 is a nice round number. Every year it gets harder though, which is why I've just signed myself up for the Edinburgh Men's 10K in the hope that chasing a better time will get me fitter. Again. See you next time.